Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Live. Today is Wednesday, August 9th, 2023. Good morning, Mr. Stonkington.
Hello. Good morning.
Hello. And do we have Sun on as well? Sun, is your mic working this morning?
Let's hope so.
Yes. You have passed the test. You got an A for something. I don't know. You get an E. They say A for effort, but I don't get that. E for effort. Good effort might get you a C if you're dumb, right? You can put in all the effort, but you're dumb, so you might not get an A. I don't know. All right. I don't see a whole lot. I was kind of going through looking for headlines and stuff, and maybe I'm missing something, but going through the news events and headlines this morning, I mean, there was some stuff about ARM and that whole IPO in talks with Amazon, Intel, NVIDIA, and La Chetan. They make like lotions and stuff, right? I'm pretty sure they make like fancy soaps and lotions. So I was like, what? I know they're like a big conglomerate, but like, why is their name in there? I mean, not when you're looking at a list of companies that would be in talks or interested or have anything to do with ARM's IPO. It's like, should we throw Walgreens in there? It's just like it didn't match, right? Intel, NVIDIA, Amazon, hand lotion.
AI lotion?
Yes. This is AI lotion. It knows where the rough spots in your skin are, and it goes to softly. Wow, creepy. AMC reported, I guess they beat analyst projections, citing strong theatrical performance of the Super Mario Brothers movie.
That's it? That's what did it? All these other movies? And
Super Mario Brothers was the year's highest grossing film thus far. Let's see, 1.35 billion in global box office sales.
Wow.
I don't know. That's what they mentioned. As far as the macro schedule, there's not really anything significant today. I think we get crude oil inventories at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. We've got Disney reporting, Roblox, Wynn Resorts, and then Brookfield Asset Management. I don't know who else is on the docket. And in other news, WeWork don't work. I don't know if you saw that. WeWork saying they have significant doubts about their ability to stay in business and continue operating.
Yeah, I wonder why.
And I hadn't looked at that. I don't even know if I ever looked at the chart. I might have like wanted IPO'd or something, but I was just looking at it. It's like, holy cow.
I mean, it's like, oh, here's a way you can go to an office with people that you don't know and work there. It's like, well, nobody wants to go to an office anymore, so you're done. You lose.
Yeah, I mean, their whole thing was like, it was a combination of you don't have office space, perhaps. So here's, you can have this temporary office space. And I remember a lot of their marketing focused around people like not wanting to work alone.
Right.
And it's like, what? Who would rather go into a shared office with a bunch of strangers than be at home in your pajamas. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Mojo, we're talking about WeWork. And I went to there was a few WeWork offices that I have been to, not because I was, leasing space, but some of the startups and things that I've worked with, like there was one company that WeWork had they had like 3 floors in this building, and one of these startups had rented like pretty much an entire floor. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like, I wonder why they didn't just rent their own space. And I think it was more like, well, we started with 1 office or 2 offices, and then we just grew so quick and didn't have time to move and, whatever. So it's like, but then the other 2 floors, it was like there was nobody there. Go in there and there was like 4 people in there. It was just interesting. So that's about it as far as news. You guys got anything else as far as news before I get into this chart?
I'll cover news after your chart.
All right, cool. Okay. So here's the ES chart. I'm going to zoom out real quick to a daily. And the reason why is because I have this blue shaded box here. And then the reason this is significant to me is because you can see this volume imbalance right in here. And we came up, we got some candles that are coming up into this volume imbalance, right? And then so far come up into it and then reject, come up into it and reject. And that also marks yesterday's high. So I'm looking at this blue shaded box as if we get through that and this area becomes support, right? Then we can really start pushing back to the upside. All of this is happening, right in this area just above the 618. We wicked down below it and then pulled back up the 618 of the most recent up move. We're right between that 50%, 61.8% level. And we get the midpoint of the bigger parallel channel in here. We're kind of just below that, right? So to me, that shaded box area, it's like, okay, if we can get through it, then all it did was come down, not quite fill that daily fair value gap. There was a regular trading hours gap that we had marked out, and I'll show you that we got really close to the bottom of it. And maybe that's what it was after. And I would say a move above yesterday's high, if you can get up above there and that becomes support, well, that would tell me that it wants to move higher. And you'll see where these orange lines come into play here, but the top one being the wick high of this candle, 45.60.75. So above here, I've got 45.46.75 and then 45.60.75. And then above that, you can see it start to fill in some of this stuff in here. So that's on the daily. If we go back to, let's go back to a 60-minute. And this is where those orange lines come into play. So you have the top of this 60-minute fair value gap, and then yesterday's high. Or no, that was the high from the 4th. So the top of the 60-minute fair value gap, and then the top of this candle, which is kind of that swing high before the move lower. That's where those come into play. And I think above that, 45.60.75, again, we can start to see it come fill in some of this stuff in here. We've also got on here and this is that shaded blue box. That's the same one. And this yellow shaded box, I'm actually going to get rid of it. I just wanted you guys to see that filled right into this 60-minute fair value gap right here. So that's done, right? It's filled in. So I don't need that anymore, because if it gets back up in here, it's probably going to get through it. And you've got the London session high right here, 45, 36, 25. So given that the London session high is right up here, if we start to see, say on a 5-minute or a 15-minute, we get something that looks like a market structure shift, and we're going to start pushing up. We get up into this 45, 32.75. That London session high will become a target at 36.25. And if it does anything more than wicket and pull right back down, that would make me think that it's probably going to get above this shaded blue box. At least take it out, even if it pulls back. And as far as levels below, you got that Asia session low down here, 45, 15, 25. So that's 10 handles below where we currently sit. And then these yellow lines right here go back to the 60-minute. You can see that's a 60-minute fair value gap. So below the Asia session low, same story. If it gives anything more than just 1 or 2 ticks below and then pop back up, I would look for it to fill this in. And if it fills that in and it doesn't recover quickly, then we're probably looking at this low down here, 44.82 half, and potentially below. This is a big level down here. You know, you can see kind of how this move, when it finally broke through. See if we can zoom in a little bit. Kind of where this spill started, right? And then you had this fair value gap, 60-minute fair value gap that got left behind right here. And that was kind of the pivot point on the way back up, right? Came back up to it, and once it popped through it, it got that nice push to the upside. So this area is pretty important as far as, you know, maintaining right now what looks like a potential, nothing wrong with the chart, right? Came down, hit this area, tested it, kind of back test and bounce. If we break it again, you know, then we probably get the bottom of this channel. But in the near term, coming down and bouncing off that level gives some hope that, okay, this is what it was doing. Again, I said we'd go back and look at the regular trading hours chart, and that gap, right there, that shaded box marks the bottom of that shaded box, marks the bottom of this gap right here. So we came down, didn't quite hit it, but pretty darn close. Is close enough? Is close enough? Close enough? I don't know. I guess we'll see. But yeah, in the near term, that's pretty important. Again, if we break through that to the downside, then we probably come down to this new week opening gap, which would put us near the bottom of that channel around that 45.60 level. And I think that is about all I have as far as the ES chart goes. And then maybe at the end, if we got time, I'll pull up the Bitcoin chart and we'll just get a check in on that. Stonkington, what do you got?
All right. Let's see. I realized Hells is gone. We could do a world record here. This guy set the record for most walnuts cracked with his head in 1 minute. How many? Any guesses there?
Most walnuts cracked with his head. And how many walnuts do you think you could crack with your head?
Yeah, right. I'm like,
I don't think I'd get through very many.
I don't think I'd be doing so great. Full moon's in at 250. That's a lot of Kraken.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I mean, if somebody's got, the forehead for cracking walnuts, I feel like you could get through them pretty quick. I'm gonna say, I think 250 is a pretty good guess. I'm gonna go in between full moon and brick top. I'm gonna say 189. We're probably way low, but
Someone's gonna have to go test this. Oh man. Oh, Ducky Cucks brick. We got yeah, that was a good guess there, full moon. This guy did it. 273 walnuts with his head. Oh man.
So this isn't like a Price is Right JPEG or anything. So what does full moon win?
Oh man, I actually this was kind of funny because I was like, well, I somehow got like a 3 months free of Discord Nitro. So there you go. I couldn't use it because Nose Whistle gave me one before. So there you go. Maybe we get that for you, full moon. All right, let's see. So speaking of Nose Whistle, that was cool. He jumped on voice yesterday, and so we've been talking about this thing that he's been experimenting with, and I think he talked through it a little bit with you guys yesterday, but wanted to kind of take another look at it. So what he's been experimenting with is these fib projections off a manipulation leg, which basically is price being brought to an area for them to reverse it. It's pretty much, you're just looking for a support level to be broken. And then you would use these fibs, which I will so you would use the fibs to do a projection of off that price leg that they used as manipulation. So I'm grabbing this one where they broke the recent low. And then basically what he's looking for is once you cross this 2 projection, you could be looking for them to run it to 4, which it worked pretty well. This is something you can, kind of back test.
And this is for like just full transparency. Like obviously this is ICT concept that none of us are experts in this. I used them yesterday. I've been playing with them as well. We nailed the bottom yesterday. Mm-hmm. And I have been trying to learn. The most challenging part with that is, for me so far, is understanding and recognizing which leg you're supposed to draw off of, because what ends up happening is you're like, oh, maybe it's this one. Oh, maybe it's this one. Oh, maybe it's this one, right? Unless you fully understand it.
Yep.
I don't think any of us fully understand it at this point. I think the general rule, as far as what I recall, is that if you get 2.5, then the majority of the time you will get to 4 deviations. But I want to just kind of, I guess, preface this by saying that we're not experts in ICT concepts. We're not trying to train people on that stuff because, we're none of us are at that level. I appreciate Stonkington that you expose people to it, but I think rather than try to get too deep into the weeds explaining it, unless you fully understand it, it's like, okay, like this is the idea, now go. Right.
No, I'm with you 100%.
Right on.
Yeah, I agree. It's like he's got all these different names for stuff. Oh, this was manipulation. This was a silver bullet, Judas, whatever. So it's like, yeah, but I would definitely say, take these fibs, experiment, back test, because it seemed, and keep an eye out for Nose Whistle's charts, because he's been experimenting with it a lot. But these are the fibs that so you just and you can. I've been messing with it on different time frames too. So just something to experiment with. But yes, I agree. I'm no Mr. T, but just do enjoy. I've been having some success trying to experiment with his concepts. But so that's one. So I would just say, yeah, check out those fibs, back test. But let's get into. This is a big day because we got this fixed. I'm using one computer now instead of trying to switch around at the last minute. So this is very exciting here. So here's the NASDAQ on a 4-hour. We've got this falling wedge look to it. This purple box was a fair value gap left on the big sell yesterday. We've now filled it. And we got 47 minutes left for this 4-hour candle to close. So we'll see if we close below this area. We're now using the new week opening gap, that pink box there. That's working as support at the moment. I've got marked yesterday's low, which would be a Mr. T swing low, basically just a low with a higher low on either side of it. And then we've got a downside target if we were to sell off here, which would be this 15,307.75. If we start pushing to the upside, this orange line could be a pretty good target. That's our bottom of the weekly fair value gap. You can see the reactions we've had to that area. If we pop that, I'd be looking up into this 15,550.50, and we've got this rising wedge look to it. So just going to kind of see what we get in the flow, see how price action starts to play out. Yesterday was like we saw in the flow, it was just bear, and then we caught the bottom based on ICT concepts again. It was filling a daily fair value gap on the NASDAQ. We saw them run stops, like we were talking about pre-market yesterday. Bulls with break-even stops on each of these. They grabbed those stops and then ran it back. So we'll just kind of see what we get.
So to add to that real quick, and fair being fair, the bottom yesterday was a combination, and I only say this for those of you that are watching Flow, or if you're not, the last couple of days, we'll start with, was it Monday or Friday? I don't remember, that we caught like 90 points down on the NQ. Yesterday, there was 2 trades. We caught like 55 up on the NQ. And in both instances, we had the setup as it relates to fair value gaps and that sort of thing. The setup was there. And I'm telling you, all those trades, it was like there was a couple of lines of flow that came in right when they needed to. You combine the two things, and it's powerful. Yesterday, there was a few. I was calling out flow, and I'm like, they're really not giving it to. They're not giving us what we need. I'm not seeing it after the first bounce. We got the first bounce, and I said the flow isn't there supporting this move. There's nothing that says that this goes higher, and I was looking for a pullback. We pulled back into a fair value gap, and that pullback, like, it wasn't a ton of flow, but there was a flurry of nice bullish lines that came in. It was all within a minute or two. It was like there was some decent bid side puts, and then we had a couple lines of call flow come in that were of size, and I said, okay, that like someone's expecting that this is going to hold right here on this pullback, and took off after that, right? A little bit later in the day, same sort of scenario. We get another pullback. We get a $1.4 million above the ask call on SPY, followed by a couple other lines. And it's like, there it is. They told us again. And I only want to highlight that because it is, if you, and we've talked about this before, but you focus those levels on the chart, pay attention to those, and then read what the flow is telling you. It's not always going to tell you the move if there's nobody playing, if there's no interest, right? But wait for the times that there is. You don't have to play every move. Wait for the times that that setup is there, and then you get that little run of, if you're looking for upside move, you get that little run of bid side puts and calls of size. I'm not talking about 20 grand, 30 grand, that sort of stuff. You want to see short dated, 6-figure flow, 200,000, 300,000, a million. I mean, we were getting both those bounces. We got $1 million lines that came in that were, either 0 day or Thursday's expiration. Anyway, continue. I just like that. I'm not sure how many people are trading futures that way, and there's a lot of power in it.
Agreed. Yeah, it's like we've got all these different tools in our toolbox. Using that black box data, it's like it's powerful stuff. Good stuff. All right, so next one would be the Russell. I think the Russell will be an interesting trade today, based on that earnings from SMCI, the biggest holding over there, and they got smoked. And yesterday was a big up day for the Russell, so it may need to build some structure. We'll see. I've got this upside target. We'd have to pop this line for continued upside. That's this order block line I've been talking about, 1963. You can see even on the run up yesterday, we still rejected right there. And then we can see the big run up yesterday. Those all become fair value gaps. So downside targets, if we start, pushing to the downside, 1948.50. And then we've got the next one to the downside would be 1942. And then we've got this 4-hour order block line that would be below. See if we get a reaction down there. Still longer time frame. We're in this falling channel, which would potentially be bullish. But the small cap ERs last night, whatever they said on those calls, the market did not like that. And so we'll just kind of see, maybe even keep an eye on SMCI, see what they do with flow on that one, because there were some upside shots being taken and then it got smoked. So we'll see what we get there. And then jumping into some individual tickers, Apple had a daily inside bar. Looks like it's getting a nice little move up here. So in this case, what I would do, we had the dark pool from last night. So here, basically, what I would just be adjusting would be, we could probably use this 181 flat psych level as a new call trigger, and then if we wanted to be aggressive, we could probably have a put trigger somewhere around here. See what we get on Apple. So I'd be looking for 181 flat for upside, 180.35 for a put trigger, and then we would use keep an eye on these dark pools, 181.99 above, 178.85 below, and we've got dividend coming up on Friday, so we may start to see, but won't see Apple flow here pretty soon. But that's kind of what I would be looking for on Apple. And then the other one was going to be Tesla. Tesla was a daily inside bar. We've got this kind of flag it's working on. I had an alert down in this area. See if we tapped this trend line and held for a potential buy. So I don't usually, we could maybe like move this up just a little bit so that we're not, we get a chance to run at the open. So I'd be looking for this 252.10 for a potential call trigger. If you wanted to be conservative, you could wait for the put trigger down here for 245.80 just because it seems like this is going to be a key level down there. And I think that is all I've got.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Stonkington. Sonny, what do you have, Sonny?
Morning.
We got about 9 minutes till the
I got
open.
9
Just,
minutes. I'll
yep.
be quick.
Right on.
Upgrades. So we're looking at DKNG. There's some news on it. I'll cover it in a bit. NVAX, Real, REAL, and Rivian all are upgrades with the price targets raised. Downgrades. So there's a double downgrade on UPS from Loop Capital and UBS, neutral to hold, price targets lowered. Coupang, CPNG, they had the ER the other day, so they got a downgrade. And the other one, the last one, DDOG. So we did see some deep in the money put flow coming into DDOG the other day. The price target's been lowered to 90 from 115. So the big news yesterday was Penn Entertainment and Disney ESPN struck a deal. It's a 10-year deal worth about $2 billion. Part of the deal was they're gonna get rid of Barstool. Dave Portnoy got rid of him. He's not part of this deal. They sold his company back to him. Um, so Disney had a similar deal in 2020 with Caesars and DraftKings. They're going to phase that deal out, and Penn is going to be the exclusive partnership with this. There's speculation that Disney is going to use this as more money come in to spin it off or sell it to somebody else. We'll see on that. So we'll keep an eye on the news. I'll be looking at playing. Disney got a nice pop yesterday. Definitely Penn. DraftKings had some flow. So definitely on my radar today. Rivian had the ER yesterday. They've raised their production forecast. So if we get some flow, it could squeeze today. Other one in the car space was Illumina Technologies. They had their year. They're expecting about 100% growth for the rest of the year. So watch MBLY and Laser. They're in the same space. A small ticker up. It's called Wheels Up Experience. Air taxi kind of a deal. So they got a partnership with Delta Airlines and got I think $10-15 million for them in this deal. That could squeeze as well. Has run up previously. And Upstart, they offered weak guidance. They were down about 20%. Again, that's a nice mover with the flow. Keep an eye on that. And that's it.
Short and sweet. All right. Thank you, son. Yeah, I did. There was all that news on what happened. Like Penn divested Barstool.
Yep.
And then there was some news about Penn partnering with ESPN.
Yeah, so they're going to partner with ESPN. So it's going to be renamed ESPN Bets. And it's a 10-year partnership worth about $2 billion.
Interesting. Okay, cool. All right. 6 minutes till the open. Anybody got anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Good.
That's it. All right. Thanks for joining us. Now 5 minutes to the open. See you shortly.
Yeah.